Hello, everybody. I'm Amelia, and I've been having a really rough time out here in the lands between. In a past life, I got mixed up with some pretty bad stuff.
Please, put a stop to this madness. So you're here as well, Lord of Frenzied Flame is I realized as we've talked, I'll be a maiden, and you, surely a lord.
I always thought that I got dealt a bad hand, so I tried something new. I joined a cult. Now, I've got a really big family. But even with all my brothers and sisters around, I can get pretty lonely. Sometimes, they call me Wretched. I hear a lot of people talking about community. I've never had a great grasp of what that really means. I have trouble connecting with people. Our fates rarely seem to intersect in meaningful ways. Offering up pieces of myself to others isn't the simplest act. Both in public and private, I find myself asking too much and finding too little. Increasingly, however, the need for interaction becomes imperative. I feel my disconnect, and I wonder often about whether or not some of what I want is lost in my own inability to be flexible in the face of the status quo. Regardless, I can't help but find that packaging of the self for branding has always felt as slander. Even when I can find my reasons for eschewing the current climate, though, I tend to wonder if it's principles, fear, or some third nebulous desire to escape the tide that keeps me from even making the attempt. High school was difficult, and the persistence of the same need for interpersonal amelioration in every arena has become overwhelming. Once something is understood, it is intensely difficult to divorce from it. Little over a decade ago, the pursuit of any sort of personal gain or the ability to benefit from burgeoning cottage industries surrounding individual IPs was essentially a delusion. Creating based on others' work was clearly in the camp of hobby alone, and social credit was something only really traded in small cliques within each individual environment. It was superfluous, a pursuit of radical action in a time of blossoming progress, which found wild reward only through sheer luck and momentum that couldn't have been anticipated. Seeing something for what it is and being where you needed to slowly became more feasible if you knew what to look for and who to be. I've never played well with others. In the halcyon days of Justin TV and before, community was essentially a euphemism used to make people feel connected, when in earnest, a lot of what consisted of these spaces was simply people playing games on their own. Interactions were had in open lobbies and with lists of 100 friends with whom one kept trying to swap out people who haven't been online in 6 years for the kid you met in class who wants to play Resident Evil 5 co-op with someone. We don't exist in that world anymore. There is a pull towards the proselytization of personal idolatry. Worth and value, on an unprecedented scale, are determined and espoused as growing out of passion. The ability to turn those previously leisurely pursuits into diversified revenue streams, which will synergistically feed into the gross profit of the individual, is often bolstered on all sides from those with the fortune to benefit from it. Hopefuls who want to believe their number will be called next, and regressive meritocratic falsehoods that have been commonplace for longer than most people have been alive push these ideologies forward, even in spaces reserved for commiseration and inanity. Under the current system, competition can be bled from every nascent reality like water from a stone. A mass adoption of language and values amongst an influential populace creates pockets of interest that resemble cults more than communities. Zealots protecting their interests, those who would be seen as true believers, help to gatekeep anything that would go against the opaque goals of progress and growth. Positivity presents all forward movement as improvement, and criticism is only worthwhile if you have the clout to cultivate a group of followers who already agree with you before you speak. Not everyone has been infected with the need to make effigies of their humanity, an offering to the gods of renown. But those sacrifices have seeped into their lives all the same. In the grand scheme of things, it sometimes seems so pointless, even selfish, to force one's point of view on the world. Who really needs it? Especially when a child needs a mother so immediately. I do not have any answers, other than that art seems essential as mothering in order to be a self. It is essential. I should cease being a person without it. Is that enough of a reason that it matters to me? I often think on this quote. I wonder how I relate to it as I struggle to create anything at all. What if I aspire to something that is somehow less than art? Does it matter if it is created but not observed? Personal pursuits of gratification aside, has the point of creation always been to be perceived? If not, then why? I don't know how I reconcile this with my fears of intent and distaste for networking as capital, especially when my stance is so clearly archaic in our increasingly digital epoch. More recently, I have wondered whether or not I exist at all. There is so much emphasis on taking that part of yourself that you believe is good and whole and worthwhile and putting it on display. Latter-day graffiti scrawled on the walls of a liminal universe as an attempt to break through absolute chaos, just to say, I exist. I was here. Not unlike a Sharpie on the wall of a dirty bathroom. Perhaps I would like to be. So the days slipped away as each morning dawned bright and fair, and each evening followed cool and clear. But autumn was waning fast. Slowly, the golden light faded to pale silver, and the lingering leaves fell from the naked trees. A wind began to blow chill from the misty mountains, to the east. The hunter's moon waxed round in the night sky and put to flight all the lesser stars. But low in the south, one star shone red. Every night, as the moon waned again, it shone brighter and brighter. Frodo could see it from his window, deep in the heavens, burning like a watchful eye that glared above the trees on the brink of the valley.